WWE's road to WrestleMania concludes on Sunday night with Fastlane. Finally, the road to WrestleMania, the very pathetic road to WrestleMania, is finally over. And I think everybody at this point on the road to WrestleMania knows exactly what's going to happen in Tampa. The card is pretty much set. If you watch the shows, you know exactly what WWE is planning on doing. But I think the topic of discussion now, being that the road has finally come to a conclusion, is what exactly is going to main event night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania 37. I've said it once, I'm going to say it again here today. I do not think it should be Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship, even though Drew McIntyre is definitely pushing to main event one of the nights with Bobby Lashley in Tampa, Florida. Also, WWE has now finally released WrestleMania tickets to the public. What took them so long, and what was the backstage reason for all of that? WWE has yet another edict on the main roster. What exactly is Vince McMahon doing now, and where is Keith Lee? Keith Lee finally addresses his whereabouts and says he will be able to explain where he is very, very soon. All this plus so much more right here on episode 369 of Off the Scripts. I think it's pretty safe to say that no matter who you are, there are situations or events in your life that you look back on and maybe you wish you could go back in time and make a different choice or do things differently. We've all been there. I came across this interview with Shawn Michaels in the New York Post, and he talked about his crown jewel match. You guys know, the one where Triple H tore his pectoral muscle, and it included Kane and The Undertaker, and it was an absolute embarrassment. We all know it. He talked about his match in 2018 at Crown Jewel, and Michaels was asked whether he regretted doing the match, and Michaels revealed that he regrets coming out of retirement for such an underwhelming match. Now, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty confident that Shawn Michaels is not regretful about the money he made that day, which is why he did come out of retirement after he said and really stuck to his guns about not coming out of retirement. But I'm pretty sure the payday was really damn good for good old HBK. Now, I'm not saying that you can't go out there and make your money. If you could still do it and think you can make a nice paycheck off of it, so be it. But the man stuck to his guns for so many years to do that match. And I think Shawn Michaels was smart enough to realize that they only brought him back because that show was being built around all big major names, and the Prince of Saudi Arabia needed all the biggest names on that show. So how much money can I offer Shawn Michaels and lure him out of retirement? This is why I believe I ranted on it when I was talking about that match back in 2018. I was very adamant about nothing being sacred anymore. You know, the retirement of Shawn Michaels was heartfelt, and everybody was sad to see him go. We could have legitimately watched Shawn Michaels go maybe another 2-3 years, but he wanted to walk away. And the storyline with The Undertaker was so perfect that it just made sense to do so. But he says this to the New York Post, and I quote, I do have regrets. I had no idea that from Mark's standpoint, a.k.a. The Undertaker, he was looking at it as that might be the one match he could walk away on. The Undertaker walk away on that match on that night? I don't think so. The Undertaker's not going to walk away from his pro wrestling career in Saudi Arabia. It was always going to be in The Undertaker. I don't really understand why he went out there, HBK, and thought that that was going to be The Undertaker's final hoorah. I don't really understand that. For me, it was fun. It was a chance to be with my buddies. All I can do is apologize to the guys, end quote. Now, he was very brief in that Triple H and Shawn Michaels ended up winning that match against Kane and The Undertaker. Since then, Shawn Michaels has not competed inside a ring. There's always been rumors about him coming back and wrestling Johnny Gargano or a Tommaso Ciampa and maybe him being used on NXT. I don't want to see any of that. There was only one match I wanted to see Shawn Michaels come out of retirement for, and that would have been against The Undertaker. I would have been okay with that. I think there were rumors going around this time that Michaels was back on television, and they really did pick up the Shawn Michaels and Undertaker feud and kind of went back into that nice story that they told. And I would have been okay with that. I really would have. I would have loved to see Shawn Michaels in a one-on-one match away from the Kanes and the Triple H's. I wanted to see it centralized around The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, but we never got that. And I think all discussion about Shawn Michaels being inside a wrestling ring again active, that needs to cease to exist. The same thing with the Stone Cold Steve Austin rumors. Is he going to come back for one more match? No, those guys are done. Those guys are done. I want to say that about CM Punk as well, but CM Punk is still young, and I do think that AEW has CM Punk lined up in their pockets when the time is right. That's the ace in their sleeve. But of course Shawn Michaels regrets it. Look at the match. I mean, no amount of money to somebody like that who right now is still ingrained, even more so in the business than he was when he retired. Now, of course you're going to look back at that and say, yeah, man, that fucking sucked. That was it. That was awful. No amount of money is going to make you think otherwise. But I'm glad he finally came out and said, listen, man, I regret it in oh so many words. He didn't really say, I regret it. He said, yeah, I do. I apologize to everybody. I don't know what he has to apologize for as far as his performance, though. His performance in that match was better than everybody. Kind of gave you a glimmer of hope that he could still go if he wanted to. I still think to this day in 2021, he could still go if he wanted to, but I don't want to see bald Shawn Michaels in the ring. They just came out with a new toy, too. A new Mattel figure, I believe. Ringside Collectibles posted it on Twitter. Bald Shawn Michaels. That itself is going to be a collectible. I'd actually go out there and purchase that toy. Nobody wants to see bald Shawn Michaels on a toy in a ring at WrestleMania. Save it. I think it's best if he just stays behind the curtain in NXT. But thank you guys so very much for joining me on the podcast, man. It is episode 369 of Off the Script. Not sure what we're going to dive into today. There really isn't any major story going around, going into Fastlane. Fastlane is fast lame. We're on the lame, very lame road to WrestleMania. This WrestleMania season potentially could be, when it is all said and done, the worst ever. If you think otherwise, man, I don't know, man. You got some problems. You got some issues. This WrestleMania season sucks. It really does. And I don't expect WWE to change. I mean, they're making money. They're debuting on Peacock this weekend, right? They got that $1 billion deal. They're getting $1 billion from Fox. They're getting $1 billion from NBC Universal. They don't give a shit. They could write whatever they want and make illogical sense of everything that's on TV. We'll continue to bitch and complain, and they don't care. They're actually laughing at us. They don't want to write logical television. They don't have to. They don't have to. But that's why I'm here, man. Always to call them out on their bullshit and their terrible writing. But outside of Fastlane, there really isn't anything to talk about, man. It's very sad. It's very sad. We'll do a quick preview and predictions of the show. We'll go over the WrestleMania news that broke this week. Eric Bischoff was named to the Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil. Titus is going to be bringing catering, the greatest catering they've ever seen, to WrestleMania in Tampa, man. They are now the hosts of WrestleMania. I don't really understand the pairing there. It's quite the oddball pairing, as if they're pretty much telling you something without actually telling you something. I would like to know why the likes of Bayley are not booked on the show, yet you want to bring back Hulk Hogan. I don't really understand it. So we'll go over all that. I got your Monday Night Raw, AEW, SmackDown, NXT news. Lots of news coming out of NXT. We'll talk about that as they build towards NXT TakeOver. Stand and deliver. Deliver is something that the main roster never usually does, but we'll talk about NXT TakeOver and what WWE is planning for that, as much of that card is coming together quite nicely. But that's all I got lined up tonight, guys, and I appreciate you joining me on episode 369. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. Twitter and Instagram are the social media hubs if you guys want to follow me. If you guys want to go and follow me on Critiques and Connoisseurs, we got a new episode live right now. Make sure you guys go and check that out today. Me and Hodge are talking about the Stone Cold IPA. What? Yeah. Stone Cold IPA, man. I'm not big on the IPAs, the India Pale Ales, but I quite enjoyed this one. Reminiscing about my favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin moments. I'll give you a nice little teaser, man. Bret Hart. That was the best Stone Cold we've seen in WWE, which resulted in probably one of the best matches that WWE has ever produced. Rarely anything you'll see from this point on is even going to come close to that. So we'll talk about that on Critiques and Connoisseurs today. If you missed that episode, go and check it out. As long as you guys have that down below, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter as well with the Critiques and Connoisseurs Twitter account official. That is linked down below in the description as well. And if you missed any of the previous episodes, Ultimate Warrior, we had Ortiz from the Inner Circle on there. We talked about Terramana and The Rock. And we have Sasha Banks coming up. She's not on the show, I wish. But we're going to be talking about Sasha Banks and her favorite cold beverage. We got Santana on the show. We got a little bit of the bubbly coming. We got a lot of good stuff coming up with Critiques and Connoisseurs, man. So make sure you guys go and follow us on Twitter and go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Everything you need is linked down below in the description. If you want to support the show, you could do that. Patreon's the best way to do that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Go and get your t-shirts. Bonfire.com is the place to do that. Bonfire.com is the exclusive home of JD from New York and Off the Scripts. Make sure you guys go and check out all of my videos. We had a tremendous week with the live streams, man. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You guys absolutely kill it. There is renovation still looming for the channel. The intro, the outro are blowing things up. Now, construction inside the venue is underway. I can't wait to show you guys what I got working on with that. Nick and his team are doing an amazing job so far. So I will soon reveal what they got going on there. But if you missed anything on the channel, links are down below. We got the live streams on YouTube. And obviously today with Off the Script, I will be live on Sunday night for WWE Fastlane. Live stream happening after the show, so make sure you guys set your notifications, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss it. Should be a big, big deal at the end of Fastlane. We will break it down like we only can right here on OTS. And today's show, today's sponsor for the show, the one, the only Ridge.com/script10. Make sure you guys go out there and get your Ridge wallets, man. You guys know me and my Ridge wallet. I love it. And I know you guys will too. I believe in it, and I'm sure you guys will as well. Ridge.com/script10. You guys are going to save 10% off plus free worldwide shipping when you sign up. So go and get yourself a Ridge wallet today, and I want to thank them for supporting the podcast right here on Off the Script. Let's start at the top, man. WWE, they finally released WrestleMania ticket sales to the general public. Now, there was something that happened on Monday night. Dana White, not Dana Brooke, like I botched on Monday. Dana White, Dana Brooke would be so lucky, man. Dana White came out on his YouTube or Twitter, I believe it was, and this blew up all over social media. Dana White and the UFC are allowing 15,000 paying fans full capacity inside an arena in Jacksonville for their next UFC show. That's happening at the end of April. Now, I was under the assumption that Vince McMahon was going to take this announcement and they canceled the pre-sale for WrestleMania. We're going to go back and rework everything and come up with a way to fill that venue even more so on night one and night two. That was what I was thinking. And mixed with the Super Bowl having 25, I think they pushed closer to 30, that WWE was going to have 35, 40. They were definitely going to up the ante coming out of the Super Bowl because they wanted to have more people than the Super Bowl. So all of these things were definitely in play. But WWE came out on Monday, canceled the sale for WrestleMania tickets for a little bit, and then they put them back on sale as of this week. They're already flying off the websites. And WWE actually has reduced the number of fans in attendance for each night at WrestleMania 37. Dave Meltzer and all these other publications were reporting that WWE was going to have 35, 40, 45,000 inside Raymond James Stadium. And WrestleVotes noted this past January that the company wanted to have maximum 25,000 fans in attendance, which would give them 50 overall for night one and night two. It was later then bumped up to 45,000 each night. On Wednesday, WWE confirmed the new on-sale date for WrestleMania 37 tickets, Friday morning. So obviously, you guys were paying attention to what was going on. If you were interested in the show, you would have known that they went on sale yesterday morning. WWE had previously delayed the tickets as they were slated to go on sale Tuesday, but the company pulled it on Monday night during Raw. When WWE pulled the listing on Ticketmaster this past Monday, there was speculation that the reason for this was due to a change of how many fans would be allowed to attend in person. Now, at the time, it wasn't known if there would be more or less, but now we know. Shortly after the announcement of the new on-sale ticket date, Eduardo A. Encina of the Tampa Bay Times reported that WWE will have a maximum of 25,000 fans in attendance for each night. His tweet read the following, and I quote, "Breaking capacity for next month's WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium will be approximately 25,000 fans each for the two-night events. That's 36% of full capacity for what the event would hold normally at Raymond James Stadium," end quote. So WWE, they canceled this on Monday night when they were supposed to go on sale Tuesday, only to put them on sale Friday because I think they were really jumping the gun on the 35, 40, 45,000 number. And it looks like in the end, WWE had cooler heads prevail, and they were like, you know what? Let's not overdo it. We'd rather go into this easy and see how it does after the fact, and then we'll take WrestleMania 37 and what we do and what we learn and how we approach and use all of that and what we learn into the next venue that we go into. And instead of overdoing it because we want to be the first big event to have this amount of people, let's do it nice and easy. So I was under the assumption that WWE was going to trump the Super Bowl. They were listening to Dana White's announcement, and they wanted to go full capacity because UFC is now going full capacity inside a 15,000-seat venue in Jacksonville. But this is Raymond James Stadium. This is not a regular basketball arena. This is a football stadium. So WWE, no matter how you look at it, you know Vince McMahon wants to be number one. He wants to be that light at the end of the tunnel. He wants to be that beacon of hope. Dana White may be having the first full capacity event in any sport event in the United States, but Vince McMahon's going to have the largest crowd. We have not seen crowds this large inside the United States since the pandemic started. So Dana White and Vince McMahon can share top spot on getting things back to somewhat normal in the United States as far as attending sports events go. So I think that's a good deal. Instead of risking things with you being number one and overdoing it, share the spotlight with Dana White. You guys can both be a beacon of hope for things hopefully getting back to normal. So I'm glad cooler heads prevailed there and everybody can attend. If you want to, you don't have to. I'm not going. If you want to attend, you could do so in a safe manner, and WWE wants to ensure that. Backstage news on when WWE actually decided to delay WrestleMania 37 ticket sales. Ticketmaster confirmed that WWE will use socially distanced pod seating at Raymond James Stadium. WWE had previously hoped for 45,000 fans, like I said, in attendance each night on April 10 and 11. The combo and single tickets will range from $35 to $2,500. Yeah, good luck on that. This card is worth $2,500 to somebody? Oh, my goodness. My God, man. You might as well give me the money. I'll find a better way to use it instead of giving WWE my hard-earned money. On Monday evening, like I said, Dana White confirmed that UFC 261 on April 24th, which will have 3 big title matches held inside Jacksonville, will hold 15,000 fans for that particular event. The change made by WWE was talked about on Wrestling Observer Live this week. Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer discussed the speculation on why WWE decided to delay the on-sale date and whether a change will be made to how many fans will be in attendance. So they say, and I quote, "We'll have to see if Vince is going to go full stadium. The plan was for 45,000, but that change obviously was made because they didn't put tickets on sale Tuesday." End quote. Now, it was brought up as to why WWE announced Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title at WrestleMania 37, even though it didn't make sense because McIntyre then said he has to go through Sheamus. So they did things backwards. They announced the title match, had McIntyre conveniently say that he's got to go through Sheamus, which means you just told me that the match is happening. So what does the match with Sheamus mean to anybody? It means nothing. So they did announce that. And then they announced that McIntyre was facing Sheamus at Fastlane and how this announcement made the singles match at Sunday's pay-per-view irrelevant. So Meltzer and Alvarez talked about that as well. And it's being said here on The Observer, and I quote, "It's WrestleMania. They're going to put tickets on sale probably in a week or two. Whatever it was, they pulled the stuff earlier today. So it's not like it was something that was decided even like Sunday. It was decided today, maybe late Sunday night, but they pulled the tickets on Monday. Whatever it was, I'll put it this way, it wasn't decided Saturday. Whatever it was something that just happened." So WWE, from what I gather here, the reason why they made this illogical announcement of Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre and then making the match with Sheamus tomorrow night irrelevant, the reason why they did it backwards was because they had every intention of doing the ticket sales on Tuesday, and they wanted to announce another big main event to excite people to go out there and buy tickets, but then they ended up pulling them. I don't know. Very, very confusing stuff. Alvarez speculated since that there is going to be 2 nights of Mania. Perhaps WWE will start announcing matches that will take place on each night of Mania after Fastlane. Then they can put tickets on sale so fans who want to see certain matches can only afford to attend one night, and then they could make a decision to what they want to do. WWE's not going to do that. They didn't do that last year. Nobody knew what was going to be on the show. You watch night one, and then you figured, and you use process of elimination, what else is on the show that they announced? That's going to happen on night 2. Nobody knew the match order. Nobody knew what was happening on night 1 or night 2. WWE can do that and do that in a way where they strategically place matches on each night, giving you a little bit of something that you need to be there for or need to watch on night 1 and night 2. They could go and do that, which would be the respectful thing to do if they actually gave a shit about their fan base. But I don't think WWE is going to announce anything on night 1 or night 2. You're going to go into this thing blind like you did last year. So that's the latest on ticket sales. So if you guys are going, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you are going, if you purchase tickets, if you're excited. I'll be in the comfort of my own home, working, giving you guys a damn good live stream on Saturday and Sunday night. Plans for this year, WWE's Hall of Fame ceremony to be taped, and the announcement of who is going to be inducted to follow soon after. WWE started to make announcements regarding this year's Hall of Fame, including the confirmation of the date and the classes that will be a part of this honorary night. There will be 2 classes, one for the 2020 and one for the 2021 class. Fightful is reporting that as of this week, the plan was for the show to be pre-taped in some capacity. It was noted, and I quote, "It isn't ideal, but something that WWE realizes is probably best for the time being. With 2 classes, it's going to be a long night." Before the ceremony was nixed last year, attendance at the Hall of Fame was to be mandatory for talent, and Vince McMahon became upset in recent years that talent would duck out of the show rather early to go and party. It should be noted that the majority of those who did leave early had good reasons, such as doing early morning appearances and other big media obligations. So there you go. Not everybody went out and partied, but there were other big appearances, early morning talk shows, media obligations, etc., etc. So the 2020 class will include John Bradshaw Layfield. Batista right now is not confirmed, by the way. I did read before I actually hit record on this show today, Batista is not confirmed. We don't know yet. The British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, Jushin Thunder Liger, the Bella Twins, and the NWO Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Sean Waltman. Now, Molly Holly is the first inductee for the 2021 class. The ceremony will take place on Tuesday, April 6th, will air on Peacock in the United States and internationally on the WWE Network. You guys can go and watch Fastlane on the WWE Network here in the United States. But after that, you're going to have to sign up to Peacock if you want to see all of the WrestleMania festivities, as it will no longer be available in the United States. Everybody overseas, you don't get Peacock, so the WWE will be functioning for you guys overseas. The other name that was inducted this week into the Hall of Fame was Eazy-E. Eric Bischoff, he will be inducted into the 2021 class. On Thursday's episode of After the Bell, it was announced that Eric Bischoff will be inducted into the 2021 Hall of Fame class. He spoke with Corey Graves about a wide range of topics on this particular episode. Eric Bischoff got into the wrestling business by joining Vern Gagne's AWA promotion, where he worked as an on-air talent. He then joined WCW in 1991, where he hosted and did play-by-play for WCW's weekly television shows. By the mid-1990s, he pitched himself to be the executive producer of WCW, got the gig. He's credited for bringing in Hulk Hogan to WCW, came up with the idea for Monday Nitro, was the brains behind the NWO. The Monday Night Wars, obviously centered around Eric Bischoff and his war with Vince McMahon. The NWO, which started out being Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, obviously became its own entity. It became larger than life. He worked behind the scenes for TNA Wrestling and most recently worked as the SmackDown executive director. Yeah, right. He didn't work one fucking day as the SmackDown executive director. He was fired before he even walked in the door. After his latest WWE departure, he shifted his primary focus to his 83 Weeks podcast. Bischoff joins Molly Holly, like I mentioned, for the 2021 class, and the ceremony will start on April 6th and will air on Peacock. This is a no-brainer. Obviously, Eric Bischoff should absolutely be in the WWE Hall of Fame for everything that this guy has done in WCW and even his time on WWE television. It is believed that he did come up with the Elimination Chamber concept. He was a prominent figure even on WWE television until he got axed and dumped in the back of a dump truck by Vince McMahon. But I refrain. This is absolutely a long time coming for Bischoff. I'm a Eazy-E fan, and I can joke, and I know this has nothing to do with it, but I got to throw it out there. Eric Bischoff's made several appearances on AEW Dynamite, and I joked this week that he went into the Hall of Fame because WWE was tired of seeing him on AEW Dynamite during these panel discussions with Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle. I'll put you in the Hall of Fame, pal, if you don't show up on Wednesday night. Now that's good shit. You know, I doubt that's the reason, but it's got to be said. It's got to be said. But as far as Eric Bischoff goes, who is inducting him in the Hall of Fame? There's nobody else that makes sense but Hulk Hogan. Simple. They're very good friends in real life. Hulk Hogan was the leader of the NWO with Eric Bischoff, and it just makes sense that Hulk Hogan inducts Eric Bischoff into the Hall of Fame. Speaking of Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil were announced for WrestleMania 37 hosts. Now, I don't really understand this pairing. You got Titus O'Neil, who is a predominant PR figure for the company, and then you got Hulk Hogan. I don't understand why we still continue to pander to Hulk Hogan in some capacity. I honestly don't really get this decision. It's almost as if they're mocking you in plain sight with this, being that Hogan and his muddied past recently, where he had to apologize. I don't know if it was genuine or not for the comments he made, where he was illegally recorded. But obviously, the public perception of Hulk Hogan is not what it used to be. Then you got Titus O'Neil, who is a great man who does great things for WWE, is a huge inspiration and influence to everything that he does behind the scenes. It just doesn't make sense, man. I swear to God, it's like they're mocking you in plain sight with this pairing, you know? Now, I doubt anything's going to happen because of this. Maybe WWE wants to just get everything out there because they want Hulk Hogan back in the good graces of WWE fans. I don't know. I don't know the idea of this pairing or what the reason for it is, but I mean, I could think of one person off the top of my head who's done a fantastic job all year. They just gave her her own talk show on SmackDown. I mean, she would be a great host for WrestleMania because she should realistically be in a prime position on either Saturday or Sunday. It's criminal that she doesn't have a role on this show, and we are now 3 weeks away from WrestleMania. And I'm talking about Bayley. Bayley has nothing to do with WrestleMania. After all the work that she's done, and she's one of the best parts of that entire division on both shows, and the growth of her character, you've seen just ascend the heights of WWE television. I mean, she's been one of the hardest working people all year. Carried that division for God knows how long during the middle of a pandemic, and she doesn't have a role at WrestleMania? To me, that's quite sad. That's very pathetic. It's not really how you repay one of your top performers and one of the stars in your company that led your company through the middle of a fucking pandemic with no fans. No, but Hulk Hogan, let's bring back Hulk Hogan to host the show with Titus O'Neil and get everybody talking negatively about Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil and the pairing that WWE announced this week. Bayley and Titus O'Neil would have been fine, but they want to go out there and pander to the Hulkamaniacs for WrestleMania 37. Breaking news, WWE says, Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil will host WrestleMania 37 at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay on April 10 and April 11. They are both proud representatives of Tampa and will be happy to welcome fans from around the world to this event. Great. I don't give a shit what they do. I think WrestleMania at this point, you know, it's so shitty the way it sits right now. You want to make this announcement after we had Rob Gronkowski last year do a terrible job as a host. Now you want more hosts. WrestleMania doesn't need a fucking host. But if you had to have one or two, Titus and Bayley would have been perfect. Hulk Hogan, stop pandering, please. Enough of Hulk Hogan on 2021 WWE television. WWE has a new edict. This edict is for wrestlers to be working through commercial breaks from this point on, which I thought they were doing this entire fucking time, being that we're inside the Thunderdome. I guess not. WWE stars were given a new edict about working through commercials while at TV events. The company sent an email via the Talent Relations Department to the roster to inform everybody that they now must work through commercial breaks while they air TV shows. Ringside News reported this news this week. The edict states, the reason for this is that the talent can practice doing so before they return to shows with fans in attendance again, in addition to it being a better experience for the virtual Thunderdome crowd. So let me get this straight. WWE was not having their performers work through the commercial break? Everybody just stopped in the middle of the match while we went to a 5-minute commercial break? I don't really understand that. It's not what I would do. I don't know why this edict wasn't given to everybody when you set up the Thunderdome the first night that you introduced the gimmick. I understand that inside a fucking empty performance center where there's nobody there but Michael Cole and another commentator and a couple of camera guys and no fans. I understood it then. But why are we not doing that now? Why wasn't that being done now? This should have been done since WWE did the Thunderdome gimmick coming out of SummerSlam. I don't really understand. There's more benefits to having them work through the commercial breaks than not. Very bizarre to me. The email stated, and I quote, "Effective now, you will need to work through the commercial breaks at TV. It keeps you warmed up. It continues the in-ring story. It is practice before we go live with fans and is a better experience for the virtual audience." Now, I've been in the Thunderdome once. I don't really remember what was going on. But what do you guys see if you're inside the Thunderdome on one of the screens? What are you actually seeing during the actual match? Are you seeing highlights? Are you seeing commercials? It just makes everybody's job more harder and more difficult. Makes the wrestler's job more difficult because they got to stop their momentum, right? And then you got the people who are leading the circus inside the Thunderdome, giving orders and cues to the fans. Why not have those fans legitimately watch all the action? If you were lucky to get inside the Thunderdome, why don't they get the perk of watching all of the match during the commercial break? Just doesn't make sense to me. It would give people a little bit more of an emphasis to go actually sign up for the Thunderdome. I don't know. It's just very bizarre to me. WWE will have live crowds for the first time at WrestleMania, obviously. After Mania, there is no word yet on when WWE plans to return full-time with fans in attendance. It should be noted that in states such as Texas and Florida, WWE can run shows with fans in attendance at any time. As noted, WWE decided to change things up to the talent relations department as John Laurinitis has been put back. People power has been put back in position of head of talent relations. Laurinitis reports to WWE executive Vince McMahon and Brad Blum. Yes, because John Laurinitis was hired because he does a fantastic job. Yes, he's been gone since 2011, 2012, but Vince McMahon thought he would do a fantastic job by bringing him back 10 years later. Or is it that Vince McMahon needs more virtual cocksuckers on his team? Not virtual, in person. More yes men. I need more yes men. No, you don't. You need a new change in management. These shows fucking suck. So that's WWE's new edict, folks. I find this to be very bizarre. I thought they were working through the commercial breaks the entire fucking time. I guess not. Backstage news on WWE Creative and why Vince McMahon is unlikely to change the product. Now, there was an item in the latest Observer newsletter about John Laurinitis being back as the head of talent relations. He was brought back and given the title of General Manager of Talent. Dave Meltzer says that Laurinitis was described to him as someone who always has a smile for Vince McMahon. I wonder why. Man. Get in line with Bruce on tickling Vince McMahon's left testicle. Bruce has got the right. Johnny Ace got the left. So he's got a smile for Vince McMahon. This is similar to what was said about Laurinitis a decade ago when he was in charge of talent. It was also noted that while McMahon used to be somebody who wanted to hear the good and bad so he can improve the product, the present-day Vince McMahon wants to hear that everything is great. Don't listen to this show, then. Everything is great. Vince McMahon lives in delusion, folks. The IWC geeks live in fucking delusion. The podcast, not this one, the podcast that you go and listen to that's similar to this is delusional. Nobody gives you the point of view that I do, and nobody gives you the takes that I give you, so fuck them, okay? Vince McMahon is delusional, and everybody else is delusional as well. If you think this show or these shows is actually on the right track. It's not. Everything is great. Everything is great. I need to be told everything is great because I am out of touch. Laurinitis is seen as someone who, like Bruce Pritchard, will not challenge Vince McMahon. Oh, really? I don't work there. I don't have to work there to know that one. Meltzer noted that McMahon has been surrounding himself with people who will feed the idea that the company is more popular than ever and that TV ratings don't mean anything and they don't mean what they used to. Oh, really? TV ratings don't matter, huh? That's why after the Royal Rumble, you barely generated a 1.7 rating on Monday Night Raw. To you, that's good? The Royal Rumble? On the road to WrestleMania, Raw hasn't topped a 2 rating all season. You're okay with that? I know I'm not. And I'm a fucking fan. I don't have no stake in this goddamn company. I actually laugh at it. And I laugh at these people who think that it don't matter. It don't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because you're making billions of dollars, right? Undeservedly, by the way. Who the fuck would pay for this shit? So, if you're a fan of the current product, which at this point I don't know why, or if you're a critic, then expect more of the same. Expect more people power. And this is good shit. Yeah, it is shit, Vince. Do better. WWE will not be making drastic changes to the creative end of things. Clearly, they're treating WrestleMania like it's fucking Cyber Sunday. Give me a break. Things need to change. I think everybody is very well aware of that. Speaking of Vince McMahon, the backstage reaction to WWE banning leg slapping. I wonder how much the fine is. In every match I've seen on Raw that includes Drew McIntyre, there's a leg slap. Does he get fined for every leg slap he does during the Claymore kick? I'd love to know. There are some more details in the Wrestling Observer on WWE's other new edict on leg slapping. Meltzer reported that the story going around is that a quote-unquote big-named wrestler did a leg slap very sloppily on SmackDown, and Vince McMahon's first reaction was to ban the leg slaps. I'd love to know who this is. A very big-name wrestler on SmackDown did a leg slap, and it was done very sloppily. Who on SmackDown does leg slaps, man? Who is it? Seth Rollins hasn't had a fucking match since he's come back. Really? Daniel Bryan? I don't think Daniel Bryan does anything sloppily. Who else is on there? Rey Mysterio? Maybe. I don't see Rey Mysterio doing anything very sloppily. Then you got Baron Corbin. I don't see him leg slapping anybody. Otis, Shinsuke, Chad Gable, Cesaro. Who on this show did a sloppy leg slap on SmackDown? Vince McMahon wanted to ban it. First thing he thought of, let's ban it. Meanwhile, it's been a thing since how long? Probably before you and I were even born. The feeling is that this edict will be forgotten, similar to what WWE and Vince McMahon did a couple of years back, which, oh my God, man. I'm getting fucking cold sweats even thinking about it because it was so awful. Remember the phase where Vince McMahon went through the matches on Raw and SmackDown needed to stop before they went to commercial break? Every match was a 2 out of 3 fall. Legitimately, every match on Raw was a multi-person match or a 2 out of 3 falls. I'm like, what am I watching here? How do you let this madman get away with this type of shit? That is similar to what's going on here with the leg slapping edict. Meltzer also noted that some of the reactions from people in the company on the edict is that with all of the real problems in WWE, this is the issue that Vince McMahon is focusing on. Everything is good shit, right? There's no other problems, though. So we're going to focus our attention on fucking leg slapping. I could sit here for an entire 24-hour stream and come up with different things that WWE should be prioritizing their attention to. No, but it's leg slapping. This one guy did a sloppy leg slap. Give me a break. Many wrestlers from previous generations have been slapping their legs or stomping the ring mat to create sounds during their matches, so the leg slapping is not just something that is being done by the current talents. You may be seeing more moves that require leg slaps to give you that presentation of it being more impactful. But it's been happening since you and I were fucking first born. Before that, Shawn Michaels, for example, used to slap his leg all the time when he would do Sweet Chin Music. I mean, I don't really understand WWE's edict here. Of all the fucking things you want to focus your attention on, there's nothing. You mean to tell me there's nothing on Monday Night Raw that requires more attention than banning leg slapping? Folks, if I was to write a comedy for the USA Network, that would be the funniest thing I heard all fucking season. Let me put that in the fucking show, man. It's like a comedy show. WWE is legitimately a comedy show. Wrestling show. This is a comedy act. Leg slapping. Hopefully it's going away soon because, to me, they're going to do it anyway. What are you going to do? Have a super kick without a leg slap? A Claymore kick without a leg slap? Give me a break, folks. This will go away quicker than you could possibly breathe. Once again, guys, I want to thank The Ridge for sponsoring today's episode of Off the Script. I want you to all go get yourself a Damascus Ridge wallet or whatever else catches your eye on the website, man. Ridge.com/script10. You guys are going to use code script10 at checkouts. I got 3 Ridge wallets. I don't expect you guys to have 3. But go and get yourself one today. It is literally the best wallet on the market, man. And the RFID blocking qualities, I love it. Anytime you go out, you know that your card information and your ID information is all safe from digital pickpockets, man. Plus, it looks great. I mean, it looks great. Go and get yourself one today. Use code SCRIPT10 at checkout. Man, I want to talk about Fastlane. Fastlane is Sunday, and I will be live on the podcast here on YouTube talking about it, breaking it down like I usually do. So I want to go over some quick, because this is a very predictable show, a quick preview and predictions for what's going to happen on Sunday, and then we're going to get into what I really want to talk about as far as what is main eventing night 1 of WrestleMania. A lot of people have a different take on what should be main eventing night 1. Me, it is very simple as to what should main event night 1. But we'll get into that. Let me talk about Fastlane. Intercontinental Championship match booked, confirmed. Big E will defend the IC title against one Apollo Crews. Apollo has had a great heel run. This thing with Big E has really hit its stride. Right underneath Roman Reigns is the most entertaining thing on SmackDown. But the thing is, man, and I'm talking about quick preview and predictions, Big E has held the title for what? Less than 3 months? Big E's been the IC champion. And it seems like they've run the gauntlet of opponents with him already, and there really isn't anybody there on SmackDown that's going to give him an interesting match. This is probably the most interesting thing that they could do with Apollo and Big E for the Intercontinental title. This is the most interesting thing that they could do with Big E with the Intercontinental Championship. After that, I'm not really interested. We've seen the Zayn's, we've seen the Corbins. Daniel Bryan's bigger than the IC title, right? There really isn't anybody else there that I care about for the IC title. Apollo has been great. The transformation's been great. But it doesn't make any sense to take the title off of Big E, put it on Apollo Sunday night, only to give it right back to Big E. What I think WWE is going to do here is that there's going to be a fuck finish in the end. And we're going to get some type of stipulation match at WrestleMania, whether it be a last man standing match or a ladder match. We've seen last man standing matches very abundantly in WWE. We've seen way too many ladder matches in pro wrestling in general. But Vince wanted WrestleMania to be bigger. How much bigger? By what does he mean by that? I don't know. On one hand, I could see a fuck finish with Big E winning and then Apollo winning it at WrestleMania. But on the other hand, Apollo just kind of recreated himself with his heel gimmick. Seeing him lose immediately in any way is not going to sit well with me. But you also don't want to see Apollo win the title only to drop it back to Big E. Then what does Apollo do? Where does Apollo go from there? I'd rather the title be on a heel with babyface challengers chasing the championship. That's just the way I prefer it. I think it opens up more for Apollo to generate interest as far as who he could work with up and down that roster. And I think that's the way they're going to go about it, because I think after this, they wanted you to have this introductory Apollo cruise on SmackDown. Hey, we'll give him the Intercontinental Championship. We'll let people look at him as a semi-big deal and then move him on to be a bigger deal sometime this year, which it looks like they are definitely trending in that direction. I think Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns continue their feud after WrestleMania. I think we get something along those lines. I see Big E in title contention by the end of the year. Will he be the one to take down Roman Reigns? The answer is no. Maybe that's where they're going. But I don't think that should be the guy. I don't. But maybe they are thinking that. I'm going with Big E winning on Sunday night and Apollo Crews winning the title at WrestleMania. And I think Big E's going to move on to bigger and better things, a.k.a. the Universal Championship on Friday nights. We got the Women's Tag Team Championship match, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Nia Jax, by the way, who we're seeing way too much of television time for Nia Jax. Please, can we limit that? Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending against Sasha Banks, who is the SmackDown Women's Champion, and Bianca Belair, who is the number one contender to the SmackDown Women's Championship. WWE has given us this situation with Sasha and Bianca, with them challenging for the tag team titles, and it's the same old shit. Reginald's now involved with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler after he was fired by Carmella. So Reginald is still in this Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair situation. It just speaks very lowly of WWE creative. It just shows you, first and foremost, that WWE has not one fucking iota of a clue as to what they need to do for Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. It should not be this difficult to book Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. I mean, the match books itself. You got the EST of WWE versus the one woman who is the leader of this revolution. I mean, come up with something. Seriously. Come up with something. We don't need champion and challenger fighting for the tag team titles to create some fucking false bullshit. Some disingenuous tension between the two. And that's what exactly is being done here. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are not losing these tag team championships. It would be absolutely ridiculous for Sasha and Bianca to win the tag team titles only to wrestle at WrestleMania. What I do think is going to happen is that Reginald is going to interject himself in this thing and cause some fuck finish here, which in turn leads Sasha to turn heel on Bianca. And then for the last 2 weeks of WrestleMania season, we're going to get Bianca Belair, the babyface, versus Sasha Banks, the heel. That's what I think is going to happen. And then at that point, I don't know what WWE plans to do, but I would not take the title off of Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. She's 0-6 at WrestleMania, deserves a win at WrestleMania. And I think it's way too soon for Bianca Belair to win the championship, because after that, what's going to happen? She ascends the mountain. Goodbye. Not all Royal Rumble winners need to win the title at WrestleMania. There is after WrestleMania. That's what I would do. I think give it a little bit more time. Have Banks really flesh out this return to being a heel, and then Bianca overcoming a heel Sasha Banks sometime in the summer, maybe at SummerSlam. That may be too long for these creative geeks. But I think this match is going to be used as a catalyst to turn Sasha heel and then give Bianca that opportunity to chase a heel champion into WrestleMania. So I think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are going to win this tag team title match and retain the titles. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. I mean, Drew McIntyre can go on any platform he wants and cut any promo he wants about these two going to war and beating the shit out of each other. It's going to be a bloody mess. Whatever the case may be, nobody expects Drew McIntyre to lose after they already announced that he will be wrestling Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. They fucked up. With that one announcement, they, A, created an illogical situation, and B, they actually ruined the outcome of this match. The outcome of this match was never in question. It's just now blatantly in one corner, Drew McIntyre's, and not in the others, Sheamus. So we know who's winning this match. The fact that they announced this match on Monday between McIntyre and Lashley, that means McIntyre's not going to suffer a loss on the road to WrestleMania. I would have done it the opposite way. I would have never even had these guys wrestle as much as they did on Raw. Have this one match be the blow-off match. Have this match be the determination to go wrestle Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. And then on Monday next week, announce the WWE Championship match between McIntyre and Lashley. At least that would have given the match a little bit of unpredictability, but not much. And would have made sense for why McIntyre is actually getting a title match. Because right now, like I said, they created an illogical situation. Why exactly is McIntyre getting a shot? Because he's the only one? Because he's the only guy in the main event scene? Doesn't really bode well for everybody on that roster and what you've done to create stars going into WrestleMania 37. Drew McIntyre wins. Easy decision. Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. This will not be a match. This is going to be theater because Bray Wyatt will be showing face on Sunday night, being that this is the first pay-per-view on Peacock. They want to make it a big deal. Randy Orton doesn't have any WrestleMania plans as of this point, so this match will be used not as a intergender match, but it will be used to reintroduce The Fiend to WWE television. What type of mask is he going to have? Is he going to have some new outfit? Is he going to have some scary-looking demeanor and mask and fire and new theme music or new character? I don't know. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? This is going to be a setup for Randy Orton, which doesn't really make him look all that bright. He's accepting a match with Alexa Bliss and not worrying about The Fiend. You think Randy Orton would be smart enough, the Viper would be smart enough to realize that he's being set up here, but who the fuck am I, man? I'm a nobody, right? Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss will not be a match. This will set up The Fiend to make a dramatic, quote-unquote, return to WWE television. It's set up Randy Orton versus The Fiend at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship. I hate the fact that this match is happening. I really do. I would have actually wanted this match to take place at WrestleMania one-on-one or somewhere else down the line one-on-one, but we're getting it tonight. But with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, I see this match ending in a fuck finish as well. A lot of fuck finishes on Sunday night I could see, or no contests on Sunday night I could see. Edge is the special enforcer. There's no reason to believe. I'm recording this before SmackDown. He's wrestling Jey Uso tonight. There's no reason to believe why Edge is not winning on SmackDown against Jey Uso. I mean, everybody has defeated Jey Uso time and time and again on Friday night, so why not Edge? Why not Edge have fun and join the fucking party, huh? I think Edge is going to be the guy that complains about Daniel Bryan and not liking Daniel Bryan's tactics to get into the WrestleMania main event when it should be his moment. And I think with all the complaining that Edge is doing, he's going to do something in this match to cause a fuck finish, which leads to Roman Reigns pinning Daniel Bryan. Then Daniel Bryan showing up on Friday, making a case to management that it did not go right down the middle and that he deserves a shot. Edge fucked himself over, and Edge is going to be the one to put Daniel Bryan in the main event at WrestleMania on night 2, and it will be a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. That's what I see happening. There's a couple positives in this situation. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that. Oh, but I don't want Daniel Bryan ruining the main event of WrestleMania. I don't see how Daniel Bryan ruins anything, geeks. How does Daniel Bryan being included in a match ruin anything? This guy's one of the best pro wrestlers on the fucking face of the planet. And you're complaining about him being in the WrestleMania main event, when this could be legitimately his last chance at a main event for WrestleMania. If Daniel Bryan doesn't get included, where exactly is he going on the card? Nowhere. Just like Bayley and Keith Lee and Ricochet and all these guys who don't have a fucking Sheamus, that don't have a WrestleMania match. Where exactly is he going? This gives the Edge heads and the Yes movement a representative in this match. It also gives Edge the opportunity to maybe walk out as the Universal Champion. Because if it was a one-on-one match, geeks, I don't see Edge pinning Roman Reigns. I mean, that's just fucking stupid. Edge pinning Bryan and winning the Universal title, leaving Roman Reigns to complain the following Friday after WrestleMania. Hey, I wasn't pinned. I'm the tribal chief. I get a rematch. Yada, yada, yada. Easy. Easy. And then Roman Reigns doesn't have to take a pin. He'll still remain unpinned as the tribal chief, as the head of the table. So it gives Edge more of an opportunity to actually walk out. Whereas before Daniel Bryan was included, he had no shot. No shot. And nobody's pinning Roman Reigns. I mean, Edge is not pinning. Edge is the guy you want to beat Roman Reigns after all this heel work. Give me a break. Give me a break. I see Daniel Bryan losing here. Roman pins Daniel Bryan because of Edge. And we get a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Do we see Jimmy Uso? I think so. I think Jimmy makes his way back to WWE. They teased that. Paul Heyman teased it. Jey Uso teased it in recent interviews. Before you even know it, you'll be seeing him back on television. It's going to come, and then you're not going to be surprised when it happens. So he's due. It's very imminent for Jimmy Uso, which will be great for the tag team division, because that tag team division is utterly useless at this point. And then Braun Strowman. Stupid is as stupid does, Braun Strowman. You know, the guy who runs fast, but not so much anymore because he's got green slime dumped on him on Monday. That was supposed to be a match with Shane McMahon. According to latest sources, the match has been pulled, and we'll talk about that one in just a little bit, which I don't really know how you look at it. I look at it as, listen, man, I'd rather it be on the show, because if it was on the show, then that's one less match we have to worry about at WrestleMania. Now Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman's going to be saved for WrestleMania because Vince McMahon wants it to be bigger. And actually, it makes the show worse. There's not anybody on this planet watching this show that gives a fuck about Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman. Maybe Mark Summers of Double Dare. Maybe they'll have them jumping through fucking slime and, shooting fucking whatever. Chickens into somebody wearing a fucking basket on their head. I don't know. Or eggs. Something that they used to do on Double Dare. I'd rather see them compete in Double Dare than actually wrestle in a match, to be perfectly honest with you. So they moved that, according to latest reports, and we'll talk about why and what's going on with that in just a little bit. But that's my quick Fastlane rundown, man. Not much happening on Sunday night, but I'll be live covering it on the show. Now, Drew McIntyre. This was very interesting, man. Drew McIntyre, he was recently interviewed about how he got over being angry about no fans attending WrestleMania 36. Now, clearly, WWE didn't know what was going on. We had to get a main event match of Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre out of the way to get Drew McIntyre to beat the Beast and win the WWE title. He was put over in a big way. Not only did he beat Brock Lesnar, but he beat the show, showing up on WrestleMania after the cameras stopped rolling, but it was really WrestleMania. But they showed it on Raw, hyping it up as a Monday Night Raw match. No. Happened at WrestleMania. There was WrestleMania banners on the ring, okay? It was WrestleMania. But he talked about how he got over being angry, that there were no fans. So he was interviewed by John Alba of Spectrum Sports 360. John Alba is a WWE reporter in the greater Orlando, Florida area. And Drew McIntyre revealed that he got over that disappointment by having, he actually got over this disappointment of having a huge WrestleMania moment in front of nobody. In this interview that has not publicly dropped yet, it's available on his Living the Gimmick Patreon. I don't know who is getting this. I guess they're a patron to John Alba. He says this, and I quote, and how he got over this. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't angry. Disappointed when I found out after 19 years of hard work and so many ups, but a lot of downs to get to that point, that it wasn't going to be in front of 70,000 people at Raymond James Stadium. My family coming from Scotland weren't going to be there. My wife wasn't going to be there. Such a part of my journey. It was going to be in front of nobody. It was until I realized the gravity of the COVID situation that we were going to be the only original content in the world essentially at that point. And then I thought, wow, it would be pretty selfish, Drew, that you've got a huge opportunity to really make a difference in this world, end quote. So this interview was dropped, and there's talk about Drew McIntyre and how he was angry and how he wants to be in the main event of WrestleMania with Bobby Lashley and how this match deserves it. I got to be brutally honest with you, man. You know, Bobby Lashley, no matter how great he's been booked, is not the guy on Monday night. I'm looking at Bobby Lashley as a transitional champion. I really am. I don't see how Bobby Lashley matches up against anybody on that show, world champion-wise, for any program after WrestleMania. I don't see how that even works in his favor or to Monday Night Raw's favor. Drew McIntyre's not the guy either. We've been there, done that with Drew McIntyre. He's great at what he does, but he's boring. He's run through everybody. Unless WWE has Bobby Lashley retain the title at WrestleMania, and then we get a Ricochet or a Keith Lee or someone along those lines. But I got to be honest with you, man. I have a feeling that WWE is going to do this one thing, and I would be ecstatic if it happens. I really would be ecstatic if it happens, because they do have a history. I feel like WWE is going to have Drew McIntyre beat Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania because of this interview and what he said here. I think Drew McIntyre is so well respected in WWE that I think he is going to win the title at WrestleMania. Will it be in the main event? No. It won't be in the main event. Or at least I wouldn't put it in the main event. It may very well be in the main event. WWE may put him in the main event on night one to pay him back after what happened last year. I don't think it's a main event match. I don't think the feud really calls for it to be a main event match. I don't think any feud really is night one WrestleMania main event worthy. The only thing main event worthy on this entire show is what's happening with Edge, Bryan, and Roman. In fact, Big E and Apollo Crews has been more main event worthy than Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, as that has been the second best thing under Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman Reigns on all of WWE television. I think Apollo and Big E deserve the fucking main event on night one. More so than anybody. It's not going to be a match I'm looking at as, hey man, that's a main event match. Oh man, I'm excited. Sasha and Bianca was that match before they fucked up the booking and the creative. That doesn't even feel like a main event match on night, unless they drastically change something coming out of Fastlane and give me something, hey man, I'm excited about this the last 2 weeks. Because right now it's not feeling like that at all. So at this point, I'm going Sasha Bianca. And not only that, to me that it's a bigger match than Drew and Bobby Lashley. I just think that this is legitimately the only other time that you're going to look at a WrestleMania main event where the women will be able to main event. And you know you want to do that. Why wouldn't you? Why would WWE shy away from that? You got the opportunity to do it. You know how much social media attention that's going to get? What is WWE about? Championships? Or getting that spotlight, that publicity, and that traction on social media to get the most attention possible? What match is going to get you the most attention at WrestleMania in the main event? Sasha Bianca or Bobby Lashley versus fucking Drew McIntyre? You got to think of it as far as a business aspect. Drew and Lashley, at best, is a mid-card. Mid-card title match, the Del Rio spot. I don't see it happening. But I do see Drew McIntyre winning the WWE Championship back. And then Bobby Lashley could do whatever he needs to do. Her business seems to be on the downward trend anyway. They just lost the tag team titles to the New Day. Where are they fitting on this show? I have no fucking clue. So Bobby Lashley may be the next in line. They just gave him the title after 17 years as a, hey man, we love you, we respect you, this is your moment. And there was legitimately nobody else on this roster. They were getting down to the crunch time portion of the build of WrestleMania season. There's nobody on this show that has been built up like a Lashley that McIntyre could beat and really go over big. We've done Lesnar. Lesnar's not coming back. So let's do Lashley. And they made a last-minute decision. And I think that last-minute decision is trending towards Drew McIntyre winning the title back. Now, what happens with Drew McIntyre winning the title? He's a babyface. In comes Adam Cole to Monday Night Raw, which desperately needs a shot of youth. I don't know how well that bodes for Adam Cole, seeing that Ricochet, Andrade, and Keith Lee are all fucking dead and gone on this show. Adam Cole may be the next casualty of Mr. Reaper McMahon, but I could see Drew McIntyre, being that he's beaten everybody, go one-on-one with Adam Cole, and Adam Cole wins the world title. Adam Cole's the WWE champion on Monday Night Raw. I advocate for that. I don't know about you guys, but Adam Cole's probably one of the greatest pro wrestlers on the planet right now. So why wouldn't you? Who's going to win the title? Who is after Lashley and McIntyre? Who is next? Styles? We've seen it. We've seen it. Styles may end up winning the tag team titles at WrestleMania. There's nobody on this show. Damian Priest? They're going to catapult him into that spot almost instantaneously? No. Absolutely not. I think Adam Cole being at the top of Monday Night Raw is the best decision. That's just me. I don't think McIntyre and Lashley is main eventing WrestleMania at all. I think Sasha and Bianca get it for the reasons that I just mentioned, but McIntyre beats Bobby Lashley and wins the title back at WrestleMania. After that, it is a very, very up-in-the-air situation on Monday night. Moving on with the rest of the news here, man. Let's get into SmackDown. Nothing really happened on SmackDown. The ratings were in for not this past Friday, not yesterday, but the last week's show. Average 2.010 million viewers. That was down from the previous week, which did a 2.166. First hour did a 2.028, and the second hour did a 1.992 rating. So I guess Edge being back on the show, man. Edge was on the show throughout the show. He was in the main event with the contract signing. Nobody really gave a shit about Edge, right? That's why Vince McMahon, when you geeks out there, why is Daniel Bryan in main event? Daniel Bryan and Roman feels like more of a main event than Edge and Roman does, and Edge is not drawing a fucking dime. He ain't drawing shit. That's why Daniel Bryan's in there. Vince knows that. The show averaged 0.50 in the 18 to 49 demographic, number 2 for the night. That was down from the 0.6 rating in the 18 to 49 graphic the show did the week prior. And it should be noted that the show was in the middle of the pack for the night amongst the networks and viewership. It was behind the usuals: 2020, Magnum PI, Blue Bloods, Shark Tank, Dateline, NBC. Does anybody else watch anything else on Friday night? Clearly, they're not watching SmackDown, or Edge, for that matter. Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Booyaka, Booyaka, 619, Booyaka, Booyaka, Rey Mysterio. Street Profits defeated Otis, Chad Gable, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. Clearly, this is WWE's direction for the Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. Whether they include all these teams or not, I don't know. But if you don't, what is Rey Mysterio and Booyaka doing at WrestleMania? And what is the team of Chad Gable and Otis doing at WrestleMania? Being that they've been featured against the Mysterios for weeks now. Clearly, something has to give here. It's either the Profits. I think they pinned one of the guys on SmackDown. I think it was Robert Roode that got pinned from Montez Ford. So clearly, they're owed a tag team title rematch because the champions took a pinfall on television in a non-title situation. I don't see a 2-on-2 standard match. I think all these teams are in like a fatal four-way of sorts for WrestleMania because Chad Gable and Otis beat Rey Mysterio and Dominic several times already. And now you got the Profits beating the champions, so I think all these teams deserve an opportunity in their own mind. They deserve an opportunity. So we'll see what happens. Cesaro defeated Murphy. They went about 3 minutes. Imagine that, man. You're watching a pro wrestling show and you got Cesaro and Buddy Murphy in the ring and they only go 3 minutes because of Seth Rollins. So clearly they're building towards Cesaro and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. which I have absolutely no problem with. Natalya and Tamina Snuka defeated Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Tamina pinned Bianca Belair. No, folks, this is not the Twilight Zone. This actually happened on Friday Night SmackDown. I know. And WWE is trying to make me believe that Natalya and Tamina are now a tag team because they got matching gear. Nice try, Bruce. Nice try. Big E defeated Sami Zayn in an open challenge for the IC title. All more the reason why Big E is going to lose that title eventually. And we got the Universal title contract signing, which led to chaos. Edge battles Uso to become the special enforcer after Jey Uso said this match needs an enforcer. So Edge says, hey, that's a great idea. I challenge you, and the winner of that match becomes the enforcer, which means Edge is fucking himself over at WrestleMania. Great. Monday Night Raw. The less I talk about Raw, the better, because the show sucks. The ratings are in for the 315 episode of Raw. This is the Fastlane Go Home show. The show did a 1.843 rating on Monday. The 18 to 49 demos saw a 0.53, 0.56, and a 0.59. They went up. Wow. I'm shocked. The hourly viewership is as follows. 1.874 for hour 1, 1.873 for hour 2, and then 1.782 for hour 3. But the demographic went up. The show sucks. The show featured Drew McIntyre defeating The Miz again. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose defeated Naomi and Lana. It's Raw, folks. What do you expect? The New Day defeated the Hurt Business to become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, only to have Omos and AJ Styles challenge them at WrestleMania. This WrestleMania clearly was put together with Elmer's glue. No plans whatsoever. Imagine having a WrestleMania 37 show and no plans for AJ Styles, man. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me, Bruce. Huh? You fucking slob. Damian Priest defeated Jackson Riker. Some exciting stuff there. Bad Bunny was attacked by The Miz. They set up that potential match at WrestleMania. Oh, Fraud Strowman. He had green slime dumped on him by Shane McMahon. Really sells the match at WrestleMania, right? Green slime, right? Asuka defeated Shayna Baszler. Seems like we got old NXT Asuka back in the fold for now until she loses to Charlotte Flair. Matt Riddle defeated Mustafa Ali. He already claimed he wants a rematch, does Ali, but we'll see what happens there. And then Bobby Lashley defeated Sheamus, because why the fuck would Bobby Lashley lose to Sheamus on Monday Night Raw when they just announced him in the main event of WrestleMania, man? Bruce, you're doing a fantastic job. What a fucking loser. This show sucks. I get angry every time I look at the name Raw. Keith Lee, he's somebody that should be angry, man. Keith Lee, he addresses his absence from Monday Night Raw. Keith Lee is absent off television. He hasn't been seen in quite a while. I don't even remember the last time I seen Keith Lee and what he was doing. A match against Riddle, I believe, maybe? Maybe it was Riddle and Styles. I have no fucking idea. Who gives a shit? The fact that the guy's not on television speaks volumes. His disappearance was followed by many rumors. Nothing has been confirmed. Nothing's been talked about. You would think if the guy was hurt, it would have been talked about. It would have been reported, right? Not one fucking word about Keith Lee. Vince McMahon also, remember, if you guys remembered back in the day, which was only a couple of months ago, seems like forever, Vince McMahon included Keith Lee in the group of big men to send down to the Performance Center to acquire more training. Keith Lee took to Twitter and addressed fans' concerns of his absence from Monday Night Raw. He couldn't share much now, but he promised to return. He says, I, quote, I hear many of you. I see many of the messages. One day I will explain it all to the true ones who've been with me. For now, know that I more than appreciate the continued support. And when I return, it will be filled with all the love I have for those that represent this hashtag Legion. He also followed up with a second tweet saying, I miss you guys too. Just know that. Folks, people were saying it was COVID. No, it's not COVID. People were saying Keith Lee is hurt. No, he's not hurt. Otherwise, it would have been reported already. Why would WWE keep Keith Lee being hurt so secretive? Keith Lee is quietly being benched, and he's quietly being buried. Simple. I don't know when he's going to return. I don't know under what pretense he's going to return. But you might as well just move him back down to NXT. You might as well just move him back down to NXT. The guy has been completely botched on the main roster. Maybe, and I may be giving WWE too much benefit of the doubt here. Maybe they realized that they fucked up so bad with Keith Lee that they kept him off TV enough to make you wonder what's going on, and they're getting ready to hit the reset button and reintroduce this guy completely new. I don't know what you needed to change from the beginning. I don't know why you felt the need to change. You guys remember during the Survivor Series when it was him and Roman, the final two for Team Raw and Team SmackDown? Or I think that was the year it included NXT. It was him, Roman, and then Keith Lee representing NXT. I think Roman was on Raw, right? I mean, the fuck do you need to change coming out of that? Guy got a standing ovation. You got a handshake from Roman Reigns. That is as over as anybody could be in this business. But you felt the need to change everything because he went back down to NXT. He had a great little spot with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble, too. But I don't really understand why we felt the need to change Keith Lee. The guy is quietly being buried, folks. He's not hurt. He doesn't have COVID. Maybe WWE told him to go back home and lose weight. I don't know. Could be any one of those reasons. But the fact that they called this guy up and then immediately did nothing with him and then took him off of TV as quick as they did, does that give you any confidence from WWE's end that they know how to create and build and mold the future of new stars? That's why I'm so concerned about Adam Cole and everybody else that is due to get called up from NXT. Keith Lee should be in the mix at WrestleMania, and he should have a WrestleMania match. Keith Lee on WrestleMania makes the show better. Letting him go out there and do what he did in NXT makes the show better. Stop changing what doesn't need to be changed. Stop it. That's why guys like People Power and Bruce and all these fucking people that are well past their expiration date, they are not allowed to book these shows any longer. They don't know jack shit. Get them out of it. There needs to be youth in there. That's why I can't wait for everybody that works on the Triple H to take over these fucking spots where Vince McMahon has all these yes men occupying. Give me a break. Andrade, he's another one. Should be at WrestleMania in the middle of something. He confirmed that he did ask for his WWE release. A few weeks ago, fans started noticing that he removed all mentions from WWE from his social media accounts. It was later reported that Andrade had indeed requested his release from the company and even looked miserable backstage at the March 8th Raw TV event. He wasn't backstage at the March 15th show. Dave Meltzer reported that WWE denied his request to be released. Of course they would. You got Jim Ross out there claiming that Andrade was denied his release because WWE doesn't want him going anywhere else, like AEW. So Jim Ross publicly came out and was asked about that, and that's the answer that he gave. Of course that's the reason. Of course that's the reason. That's the type of money that Tony Khan should be saving for those guys. Andrade wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "The rumors are true. I don't know what the future holds, but I want to make my dreams come true. Thank you for giving me so much support these last few days." What a fucking fail. I don't know what else I could say. If you guys want my thoughts on Andrade being released, I talked about it on last week's episode. Go and check it out. Available on the channel and then on Spotify and iTunes as well. What a joke. What a joke. WWE is seeing all of this support for Andrade. I doubt it does anything to change their mind. And Charlotte Flair, of all fucking people, man, the golden goose, the android queen, who is engaged to Andrade, even pitched to management that she wanted to be a part of Andrade's act, or he be a part of her act, and she willingly wanted to help get him over the way he should be, the way everybody knows he should be on the main roster. WWE denied even Charlotte's request. You're going to say no to the queen? The android queen. You're going to say no to Charlotte Flair? That's surprising to me. When has WWE ever told her no? It's amazing to me that that story got out and she actually said that. It got denied. And then you look at this entire situation. If WWE told her no, what do you think they really think about Andrade? Do they even want him there? WWE does not give a fuck about any of their performers, man. They don't. If you don't fit their criteria, if you don't fit their mold, then you end up like Andrade, Ricochet, Keith Lee, Aleister Black, Angel Garza. I don't get it. You got 5 big-time potential main event guys. And that's what you're doing? You're literally throwing money down the fucking toilet. What, because he can't speak English? That's why Charlotte Flair wanted him to be part of her act. You don't see AEW withholding Pentagon Jr. or Phoenix from television because they can't speak English. Why is this such a big fucking deal in WWE? You had Andrade on television with Zelina Vega. What'd you do? Took her away from him. Why? Why? Because you wanted to see him fail. That's why. Imagine what they actually think of this poor guy. He's going to find success no matter where he goes, whether it's back to Japan, Mexico, AEW. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm throwing money at Andrade. What his name will be in AEW potentially, I don't fucking know. I just want to see talent being utilized. This guy's in the prime of his fucking career. Can you imagine being in the prime of your career, sitting in catering, sitting on WWE television, knowing that you're better than fucking 99% of the guys out there, and WWE won't use you because you can't speak English. Or at least fluent English. I don't understand. This is what I don't get. WWE, they usually take these guys. Nobody's perfect. WWE takes these guys, and instead of highlighting their strengths and working on their weaknesses, WWE highlights their weaknesses and disregards their strengths. You're not going to find anybody that's going to be a future piece of this company with that mentality. If you see something that needs to be worked on with Andrade, then actively work on it with him. Or get him the proper fucking training to work on that. What does this guy not do right for you? Huh? You know what it is? Part of the reason is because he was a Paul Heyman guy. And Bruce is actively burying him. And don't tell me that's not a reason why this guy's off TV. It absolutely may not be the priority reason, the big reason, but that is a reason why. Andrade, Black, Ricochet, Garza, Keith Lee, I don't know if he was a Paul Heyman guy or not. He was there after Paul Heyman was fired. But all those other guys, they were going to be focused on by Paul Heyman. What do all of them have in common? Paul Heyman guys, what do all of them have in common? Buried. Why? Because Bruce Pritchard wanted to change everything that Paul Heyman did because everything that Paul Heyman did was better than Bruce Pritchard. And all these guys suffered because Bruce Pritchard is an angry slob who doesn't know jack shit about what it needs to be done or what needs to be done on Monday or Friday night. I hope Andrade walks out of that company and has the biggest fucking resurgence of a career ever. Just to fuck with them. So we did confirm he did ask. Normally these guys come out and say, I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't do that. The fact that he confirmed he actually asked for his release shows you even more so that he wants out. Because if he didn't want out, or if he didn't want to ruffle feathers or upset anybody, He would have said, "No, I didn't say that." Bullshit reports by the dirt sheets, right? But the fact that he said it, this guy wants out bad and wants out now. He don't give a fuck if he angers them anymore. Look at what they've done to him. Charlie Caruso, she's out. Goodbye. Charlie Caruso pulled from Raw Talk due to backstage heat. Charlie Caruso is no longer on Raw Talk, and a new report says that she was pulled from television due to her tardiness. That backstage heat was said to have especially come from her being late for interviews, specifically with Randy Orton and Sheamus. Fightful Select continued to report that Caruso might be leaving WWE soon. It is unknown what her current contract status is, but there are a lot of people in the company who don't expect her to stick around for much longer. There is a belief that her WWE contract is expiring soon. There's no word on whether she will sign a new deal or what her future is in WWE. It is also said that Vince McMahon got word of her tardiness and he took exception to the situation. Now, I don't know why Vince McMahon took exception to this. Maybe it was because Randy Orton said something, or Sheamus was upset by something, and those two guys are seasoned veterans with a lot of seniority. And if Vince McMahon is hearing complaints from them, he's going to take it pretty seriously. They don't want their time wasted. If they're on time, then they obviously expect everybody else to be on time. Or maybe she didn't want to be there anymore to begin with. Maybe she thought it was beneath her and she had other opportunities that WWE and her contract were holding her down. So now she doesn't give a shit that she's getting let go. Maybe she wanted this. Maybe the fact that she was tardy showed everybody that she didn't really want to be there. So now they just actively removed her from television. Could be, I don't know. But I'm going to go with the first thing that I mentioned. Randy Orton and Sheamus have a lot of seniority together, collectively. So if Vince McMahon hears both of them complain about the same thing to him, then he's obviously going to say, you know what, maybe I should look into this. So another person reported that she's one injury or illness away from being back in the fold, whatever the fuck that means. I don't know. Kevin Patrick is the new host of Raw Talk. He's also being seen as a direct replacement for her. The jury seems to be out right now, but she hasn't left WWE yet. The situation seems like WWE is preparing for Charlie Caruso's exit, or at least pushing her out of the job. Either way, it certainly appears that she has been replaced on Raw Talk by Kevin Patrick. Charlie Caruso is one of the few people there that actually had natural personality and charisma. Everybody else comes off like a fucking robot. So WWE may be losing Charlie Caruso. I think it's time that she just goes. She's been a staple on this television show for many, many years. You know, everybody has their expiration date. Everybody wants to do something else and really just strive to be more than just being held down as a backstage interviewer on WWE television. And listen, Charlie Caruso is easily replaceable. Alicia Ashton is on there as well. They got somebody down in NXT, another blonde that's dating Vic Joseph, apparently. They could easily go out and find any pretty face with blonde hair to replace Charlie Caruso. So she figured, you know what? Why do I need to be here? They're obviously having no problem replacing me with all these other female talent that they're bringing in. So the fuck do I need to be here for? Charlie Caruso's probably got bigger and better things to worry about anyway. So it's probably best if she's leaving WWE. She got a real gig on SportsCenter or on ESPN, I think. She's an analyst for the NFL. So we'll see what happens with that, but don't expect to see Charlie Caruso on Raw anymore until she is done and her contract is expired. Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon has been pulled, supposedly, from Fastlane. This past Monday on Raw, Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon were supposed to work a match, but it ended with them brawling, and the match never officially got started. McMahon put Strowman through a table with his elbow drop spot off the top rope to the outside, and then poured green slime on him to end the segment. Later that night, WWE confirmed Strowman versus McMahon was slated for Fastlane. However, this week fans started noticing that the match has been pulled from the card listing on WWE.com. Also, there's no mention of it from WWE's social media accounts. Perhaps this is just a mistake, but WWE actively promoted it on Raw, has all this time now. It's fucking Friday, Saturday. We don't have any graphic for the match or any match listing of the match for Fastlane. So it's not like it's a 5-day mistake coming out of Monday Night Raw. They obviously intentionally pulled the match off of social media and off their website. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they're going to follow this up on Monday, and then it leads to a match at WrestleMania. Because why do they need to do a match at Fastlane? They figured, you know what? Somebody I know for a fact figured, why are we doing this match now, which is going to be a blow-off, and Strowman's going to win, instead of just holding it for another 2 weeks, build some bullshit story around these two for the last 2 weeks, have it happen at WrestleMania, get Shane on the show. It makes it bigger with the McMahon being on the show. It gets Strowman on the show. And we'll just have Strowman win at WrestleMania. And we got 2 nights. We got to have matches to fill the 2 nights. Fuck a Fastlane. That's my logic there. The only thing that I'm upset about is the fact that they pulled it from Fastlane. I was hoping we'd get it over with. Now we got to watch it at WrestleMania on either Saturday or Sunday. So now we got 2 more weeks of terrible television coming out of Monday with the green slime with Strowman and Shane McMahon. Great. I can't wait. What's next? Cake? Eggs? Blue slime? What else is next? Maybe put Braun Strowman in one of them dunk tanks and Shane McMahon could throw baseballs at it, hit the bullseye. He dunks Braun Strowman into the fucking pool like a clown. What's next? Give me a break. AEW Dynamite. Viewership increases for the women's unsanctioned lights out match. NXT was down. NXT was actually not bad this week. A couple of questionable decisions there, but wasn't a bad show. Dynamite featured an unsanctioned lights out match that served as the first ever AEW women's main event between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. That show did 768,000 live viewers, which is up from the 743,000 live viewers. They did a 0.28 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, and that is down from last Wednesday's 0.32. I am very surprised by that. Very surprised by that. How many people were turned off by the women's main event? That's what I want to know. On the flip side, WWE NXT did 597,000 live viewers. Man, that's terrible when you're building towards supposedly your biggest takeover ever, which we know it's not. We know it's not. TakeOver New York is their biggest takeover ever, okay? Not Stand and Deliver from the fucking COVID center in Orlando. 597,000 viewers, down from 691, while they did a 0.13 rating in the 18 to 49 demo, down from last Wednesday's 0.18. NXT featured Finn Balor and Karrion Kross teaming to be in the main event, but fell short in their efforts to take down Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. AEW ranked number 6 in the top 150 shows on cable, while NXT was number 42. So like I said, AEW 0.28, NXT 0.13 in the 18 to 49 demo. And the female viewers in the 18 to 49 and the 18 to 34, I wanted to specifically look at for AEW, a 0.15 in the 18 to 49 female and a 0.14 in the 18 to 34 female. So I'm surprised by that. And then in the female viewership, 12 to 34, 0.11. I thought that would be a lot higher for what they really hyped about this Thunder Rosa Britt Baker unsanctioned lights out match. Just kind of surprised by that. So let's talk about NXT first before we get into AEW. Balor and Kross. I enjoyed the opening segment for Balor and Kross. I'm not a big Balor promo guy. He just comes off very, I don't know, just something about it. I don't know what it is. You know, he's just very over the top the way he speaks, if that's a good way for me to put it. Kross came out, did his usual stick. Kross is a great promo. Very believable in everything he does, mixed with his body language, the tone of voice, Scarlett being out there. So it was great on his end. A little questionable on Balor's behalf. And then we got Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch coming out. out of nowhere, and they were talking shit to both Balor and Cross. Only Lorcan and Danny Burch were mentioning that Balor should be defending the title at TakeOver against Pete Dunne, and how Pete Dunne's a greater opponent than Karrion Kross, and how Pete Dunne is a better wrestler than Finn Balor, because they're all in a group together. So then Scarlett, wearing this really revealing, tight, black leather outfit, she goes over there and seductively is touching Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and she's using her sexuality to kind of convince them to put the titles on the line against Karrion Kross and Finn Balor. One of them didn't want to do it, the other did. And then Scarlett convinced them that if they don't do it, that they're cowards, and yada, yada, yada. She was running her hands over their faces in a very seductive way. So I got that part. I just don't understand why we need to see very Monday Night Raw-esque booking on NXT. This is something that would be shown on Monday night, where champion and challenger team up and they go for the tag team championships. It's like this is WWE's thing now. I don't like it. I don't really like it. Scarlett and her actions made sense. The fact that the match just materialized before that without even Scarlett laying a hand on these guys was kind of ridiculous. But that was the main event of the show. Dexter Lumis versus Austin Theory. Lumis beats Theory. I love Lumis. I think he's great. He's obviously the next in line for Johnny Gargano in the North American Championship. Austin Theory, you can see the makings of a future piece to this company. Excellent in the ring. Only going to get better. So good stuff there by both of those guys. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly were apprehended by police after an altercation. They were both arrested. Adam Cole wanted to go and find Kyle O'Reilly. He wasn't there in the arena. They obviously came to blows. You didn't see anything happening. The only thing that you seen was that they were being thrown into the back of a police van. That was it. Separate police vans, by the way. So obviously that match is being booked for TakeOver as well. Legado del Fantasma defeated Breezango. Jordan Devlin, the real cruiserweight champion, confronted Santos Escobar. That is a match I'm very much looking forward to at TakeOver. That's going to be a great wrestling match. And WWE is very high on Devlin. I would not be surprised if Devlin takes that title back legitimately and we get him as the one and only cruiserweight champion. Dakota Kai defeated Zoe Stark. Not a bad match. Zoe Stark's slowly growing on me. She's very physical, very intense. I'm glad Dakota Kai got the victory. It would be silly for Zoe Stark to defeat Dakota Kai. Io Shirai came out and demanded a match with Raquel Gonzalez at TakeOver. A lot of people are probably wondering why they did this instead of Raquel demanding Io. They're only doing this for one reason and one reason only, folks. Io looks like a badass going after the much larger Raquel Gonzalez. And when Raquel beats Io, the badass Io, it's going to make Raquel look a lot bigger than it was if it was the other way around. It's just going to show you that Raquel, after Io demanded a match, Io demanded this match, not Raquel. Io wants Raquel. When Raquel Gonzalez beats Io Shirai, it's going to just come off a little bit more dominating if it was the other way around, or instead if it was the other way around. Tommaso Ciampa, he defeated Marcel Bartel. Great match. Walter returns to American soil over 700 days as UK champion. Chopped Tommaso Ciampa so hard, I felt it laying down in bed. Unreal. If we're getting a Walter versus Tommaso Ciampa match at TakeOver, this is legitimately the first time since Tommaso Ciampa was world champion that he's been embroiled in something that actually has importance. This is going to be a great fucking match, man. Take my money. Tommaso Ciampa versus Walter at TakeOver? I like that. I'm with that. If Cross beats Balor and Walter stays in NXT, there you go. Walter taking the title from Cross and having both NXT world titles. Can you imagine that? Walter's the only guy that I could realistically believe beating Cross. I don't see Cross losing to Balor. He has not been pinned yet. There's one guy on this roster that's going to do it. It's going to be Walter. That is if he stays in the United States. Very much looking forward to that match. LA Knight defeated Austin Gray. August Gray. Who gives a shit? August Gray. LA Knight, very basic. Decent debut. He's feuding with Bronson Reed. That may be made into an undercard match on TakeOver. And then we got Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch defeating Finn Balor and Karrion Kross. Everything that Scarlett did to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch was a setup so Kross could weaken Finn Balor, because Kross beat the shit out of Balor during this match and caused him to get pinned by the tag team champions. So it didn't make sense in the beginning. It played off better in the end. And I'm glad that they didn't go with Kross and Balor as tag team champions. Leave them separate. Have them concentrate on the world title. Hopefully they make sense of it on next week's show, where Scarlett kind of persuaded and gave Balor a false sense of hope and security here. But it was all a mind game in the end. So hopefully they do discuss that next week on NXT. AEW saw Cody Rhodes versus Pentagon. Cody beats Pentagon. Not that big of a deal. Pentagon had a post-match attack, and he got the best of the Nightmare family. I'm sure Cody Rhodes is going out soon, as Brandy is due to give birth. So Pentagon probably will get the win over Cody as he disappears for a little bit. Jade Cargill defeated Danny Jordan. Good stuff by Jade Cargill. Need to see more of it. She definitely has it. MJF introduced his new group called The Pinnacle. I love it. Hardy, Private Party, Butcher and Blade defeated Jurassic Express and Bear Country. Tony Schiavone interviewed Darby Allin and Sting. Lance Archer targeted the TNT title. Brian Cage gave some respect to Sting in the end, possibly leaving Team Taz and turning babyface. We don't know yet. Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston defeated the Good Brothers. Ray Phoenix and Angelico. Ray Phoenix gets the win there, and then Thunder Rosa defeated Britt Baker in what was a great main event. Really great main event. But I gotta take a step back, folks. You know, social media ruins everything. I appreciate to no end what the ladies did, man. Baker had her own Becky moment. When Nia broke Becky's nose and she was in the crowd bleeding, Britt Baker had her own Becky moment on AEW Dynamite with the blood pouring from her face, looking right into the camera. That was her moment. A lot of people saying Britt Baker earned a lot of respect from a lot of people who did not believe in her on Wednesday night. And that Britt Baker is now finally the face of that women's division. Could be. Could be. She showed everybody how tough of a son of a bitch she is. She really is. Tough SOB. Thunder Rosa was the perfect foil for Britt Baker. Perfect opponent. Brought out that best in Britt Baker. Great match. I appreciate the length that the ladies went to go and really blow off this feud for now. But social media just over-accentuates and overwhelms you with how great this match was, man. It was great, but it's not going to be a match of the year fucking, number one match at the end of the year. Everybody just goes over the top with everything, man. Just ruins the moment. Just let it be. Just let it be. It was great. It proved to be a building block, a foundation for what AEW needs to do. Don't go out there and start claiming it was the greatest women's match of all time. Come on. Give me a break. Thunder Rosa defeats Britt Baker in what was a fantastic main event. NXT found substantial amounts of COVID-19 positive tests amongst their roster. During Wrestling Observer Live, Dave Meltzer broke down the timeline of NXT's most recent COVID-19 outbreak. They did have a meeting and were moving rings without masks on Thursday, but people who were not present also tested positive for COVID-19. Meltzer says, and I quote, on Thursday, they were building rings and moving rings next door to the Performance Center, and they were not wearing masks, which is another big part that people are upset about. People were not wearing masks when they were doing this. People started to get sick on Friday, and that's why they tested, because normally none of those people would get tested until Tuesday. So they tested people, I guess, probably on Friday or Saturday. I'm going to say they were tested on Friday because on Saturday was the first word that they were positives, and then on Sunday, more positives. I heard about the number being substantial, and then earlier in the week, it got out of control. There were people who tested positive who were not there also. So these people probably came in contact with those people 2 or 3 days prior to when this situation happened. There were people who were there that did. COVID-19 incubation period is 2 to 5 days. So that's that. Scientific research there has proven that it's 2 to 5 days. The virus also obviously hits everybody in different ways. Some people feel symptoms. Some people do not feel symptoms. So other people who were not even moving those rings got sick as well. So this could be pointing towards a much larger problem. And at this point, it appears that the outbreak is substantial to a point where what we seen on Wednesday, some of the things that didn't make sense, like Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, maybe they were put in that situation because WWE had to rush and build a television show because of this positive COVID-19 outbreak. I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, it's less news now than compared to 12 months ago, 9 months ago. It's less of a news story now. Is it a news story? Yes. I don't think people are looking at it as severe as they were 9 months ago. With the vaccine out and everything happening, all of this hopefully is going to go and get back to normal. But for the time being, I mean, we got a substantial amount of COVID tests. I don't know why anybody would put the roster at risk, being that they got TakeOver coming up in about 3 weeks. Hopefully all those that are positive are going to be able to be on the show in some way, shape, or form. And if you're moving rings and you're going to be within close proximity of each other, doing that type of work, sweating and doing all that stuff, wear a fucking mask. That's it. To prevent something like this happening, to further ruin whatever future plans that they got or shows, just wear a fucking mask until you're told not to do so. Simple. Even Triple H missed Raw and NXT this week due to quarantine. Triple H was part of the quarantine. He was not at Raw. He was not at NXT. And NXT was still in good hands because he had Shawn Michaels and Brian James. D-O-double-G. Oh, you didn't know? Your ass doesn't know how to write a show, dog. He was in charge of NXT this week with Shawn Michaels. They were responsible for sorting out the situation and making sure they had a show to air on USA. It was not noted if Triple H was orchestrating the show from home. I would assume he was, like Vince McMahon does, operating via Zoom meetings and phone calls when he can't make a WWE show. That wouldn't be surprising if that was the case. I'm assuming he did. As it was reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, missing individuals included Triple H, referee Drake Wirtz, Pete Dunne, Timothy Thatcher, Alexander Wolf, Wes Lee and Nash of MSK, Zach Gibson, James Drake, Leon Ruff, Isaiah Scott, Johnny Gargano, and Candice LeRae. A lot of these people actually were on the show but cut promos from their home. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae via an iPad from their home to Austin Theory. Zach Gibson and James Drake, they were on the show but via a promo somewhere, phone promo. Leon Ruff was supposed to wrestle Isaiah Scott. That got canceled. Then you got James Drake and Zach Gibson, like I mentioned, Alexander Wolf and Timothy Thatcher. They were a part of the storyline with Imperium and Tommaso Ciampa. And then Triple H, obviously, the guy who's running everything, even at the quarantine himself. So that's that. Vince McMahon was actually upset about this COVID-19 situation, or the lack thereof, with the precautions. Fightful's reporting that Vince McMahon has gotten particular about wrestler safety again in the pandemic, as there was an incident, obviously in NXT. There was a wrestler or staff member also noted that was at Disney unmasked weeks back that set McMahon off because he had previously made it clear he wanted wrestlers taking more precautions. If you're employed to Vince McMahon and that's what you need to do as an employee of his, then you're going to wear your fucking mask in public, okay? But if you're not employed by Vince McMahon and you're one of these random people that just goes to the amusement park down there, it's not really mandatory for you to wear a mask outside. You're a WWE employee, you're representing Vince McMahon, that's one of his rules. You wear the fucking mask outside. Simple. Simple. You're not like everybody else. You're not like, I could go to Disney and not wear a mask outside. I'm not going to have to answer to somebody. But these guys, these men and women, you're employed by Vince McMahon, you got to wear a fucking mask. You're representing him, his rules. Wrestlemania season. Give me a break. Per the report, McMahon has sent several messages either directly or indirectly to wrestlers as a result of this. It was specifically mentioned that the word was sent out in the days leading up to the Super Bowl in an effort to keep wrestlers from attending Super Bowl parties unmasked. Finally, it was mentioned that there have been instances of staffers having their responsibilities reduced after photos of them without masks eventually came out. There's not much more I could say. If you are a product of Vince McMahon's company, abide by his rules and wear a fucking mask. If it was like me and I went out to a Super Bowl party and I did this with people I know, I don't have to wear a mask because I'm not answering to anybody. Just follow the fucking rules, man. Nobody wants Vince McMahon blowing up their fucking phone. I can only imagine. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, they may have to relinquish the NXT Tag Team titles. According to Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, Danny Burch suffered a separated shoulder after a double suplex spot by Karrion Kross in this week's NXT main event. This is terrible, obviously, because they got TakeOver Stand and Deliver coming up in a couple of weeks. This suplex spot was reversed by Kross, ended up being a double suplex on the tag team champs. Burch landed awkwardly on his shoulder, injuring himself. This is obviously, if the injury requires surgery, a big blow to the NXT roster as they are losing one half of their tag team champions. There's no word yet about the injury or the severity thereof. It is also unclear if Danny Burch will require surgery, who, by the way, is 39 years old. Kross suffered a separated shoulder during his NXT title win over Keith Lee. He was forced to relinquish his NXT title the next week. It is unclear what steps NXT will take if they are without their tag team champions. So, I don't know what they're going to do. You got the grizzled young veterans, MSK, you can run that back. You can include Legado del Fantasma, Imperium. You could do whoever else, Breezango. Something along those lines. A multi-man match of sorts. Just give it to the top two fucking teams. Do grizzled young veterans and MSK for the tag team championships. They were the winners of the finals, rather, of the Dusty Classic with the MSK guys going over. Just do that again. Probably the best match of that night. I would take that. If you need to come up with a quick solution, that's my solution there. AEW Revolution, we talked about this on Wednesday with Jesse on the AEW live stream. Revolution breaks new company record, highest grossing pay-per-view since 1999. That is non-WWE pay-per-view. Revolution had a exploding barbed wire death match, which obviously enticed fans to drop $50 on the event. It clearly paid off. WrestleNomics on Twitter reports that AEW sold 125,000 pay-per-view buys. That includes traditional pay-per-view and streaming. This brought in $5 million for the company. 125,000 buys puts Revolution as the highest-selling pay-per-view in AEW short history. The previous number one spot went to 2020's Double or Nothing, which brought in 105,000 buys. The exploding barbed wire death match obviously was the main reason for that. Sting's debut in AEW obviously helped out a lot, and that convinced fans to spend the $50. So good for them. And All In, I got. Look at this list. I got a list here. All In was not actual an AEW show, but kind of is associated with AEW. All In 2018, 45,000 buys. Double or Nothing, 2019, 98,000 buys. All Out, that is 2019, 88,000. Full Gear, 80,000. Revolution in 2020, 90,000. Double or Nothing in 2020, 105. All Out, 90. Full Gear, 85. It's been kind of, consistent with the buys. 125,000 for Revolution. So Tony Khan might have had the help from the main event and then Sting. So he's going to continue giving you surprises and making those shows pay-per-view worthy enough for you to spend $50 on the pay-per-view. What has he got planned next? He says he's got a lot planned during the year. Who the fuck knows? Who knows? Like I said, I would not be surprised if we end up seeing Blood and Guts, their version of War Games. CM Punk. I think Punk's in the bag. That's just my honest prediction. Me coming personally to you guys. I think Punk's in the bag. But that's pretty incredible, man. WWE has 12 pay-per-views all year, every month. Some are not needed. AEW's got 4. So clearly the old pay-per-view model is working out very well for them. Not only does it make the pay-per-views feel more important, but it's actually helping out the importance of Dynamite as well. And it gives Tony Khan the leeway to do these types of things on pay-per-view. So it's working out for them. Traditional pay-per-view is not dead yet, folks. AEW is slowly proving that to you. Tony Khan actually scolded Kenny Omega on the debut episode of AEW Dark Elevation. I watched maybe 10 minutes and I seen nothing different from what I usually see on Tuesdays Dark, so I stopped. But I did see this clip on Twitter. Tony Schiavone took to Twitter to state that Khan still has no intentions to get involved in the action on Dynamite, even though he did come out and scold Kenny Omega. He showed up and he booked Omega in a match on a future edition of Dynamite against Matt Sydal, saying that if Sydal beats Omega, I think it's coming up on Wednesday, he gets an AEW World title match. We know that's not happening because Kenny Omega is not losing. In any sense of the word, is he not losing? So Schiavone says, in explaining that Omega has been out of control recently, Schiavone explained that Khan's Elevation appearance was a one-off event, pointing out that Khan is the only person who can keep Omega in check. He tweeted, and I quote, "I wouldn't know because I'm blocked by good old Tony Schiavone. I know at Tony Khan very well. He never wants to take up TV time with an appearance, but needed to deliver a message tonight on Elevation to an out-of-control Kenny Omega. He's never done that on Dynamite and never intends to, but tonight was the time he could do it." End quote. Now, I seen Tony Khan come out there. It was not as bad as I was expecting it to be, but it's not, a Triple H or Vince McMahon in his prime. He was very over the top with the way he kind of presented himself. He was trying too hard. He was very squinty-eyed, trying to act like a mean, tough boss, which it's kind of tough to envision because Tony Khan is a fucking mark. He's just happy to be there. He's happy to be with this AEW thing. So it's very difficult to really get that out of him because he's just so genuinely happy. Do I think AEW is going to do something in the future, in the distant future, where they play off Tony Khan being the promoter and it's kind of tugging the lines between a work and a shoot and you're not going to realize it? I do think that they're going to run into a situation where they are going to play that card. I really do. And I think it would benefit them because Tony Khan's such a nice guy. And we're going to see something where it kind of blurs the lines of reality a little bit. I can't wait for that. Those are the best pro wrestling storylines. So he didn't do too bad, but, we're not used to seeing him in that. If he was on TV more and he was actually an authority figure like Vince McMahon used to be, he would thrive in that role and get more comfortable in it. The TV appearances on Impact have made him a little bit more comfortable. But Tony Khan is very old school. He's not going to go out there and take TV time away from anybody, and he would rather book a young talent on the show than him taking up TV time on Wednesday night, which is the right approach. Maki Ito in the final story. Thank God. Maki Ito goes bye-bye back to Japan, wrestling her first match for AEW during the Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament. Maki Ito has wrestled for the company frequently over the last month. Unfortunately, for many of her fans, Ito isn't a permanent member of the AEW roster. Taking to Twitter to bid farewell to U.S. fans, Ito explained that she's headed back to Japan. He says, and I quote, "I'm going back to Japan. I can only speak Maki-lish, Maki English," whatever the fuck she said. Can't even understand her, even writing a tweet. But everyone was kind, and I was very happy, very happy. "Do you want to see me again? I'm sorry, the next schedule has not been decided, but I hope we can meet again. Thank you. Fuck you all." Then a black heart emoji and a middle finger emoji. That's Maki Ito talking to her fans on social media. She is right now not in the plans to return to AEW, but hopes to be back soon. And she thanked everybody on her way out of the company for now. Maki Ito goes bye-bye back to Japan. And ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to listen to that god-awful voice of Maki Ito on Dynamite for quite a while. Thank God. I don't know what was worse, her fucking microphone shots to Hikaru Shida a couple of weeks ago, or the fact that she's a terrible singer. What is it with you and you Joshi geeks, man? I don't really get it. You got schoolgirl fetishes, Japanese schoolgirl fetishes, what is it? I'd love to know. Please, someone tell me. What am I not comprehending here, man? Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys very much for joining me on the podcast. Ran through everything I need to go through. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And I will see you guys back on Sunday night for Fastlane and the live stream on YouTube on the podcast, man. Follow me on Twitter at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button, like I said, down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Hit that thumbs up. And if you missed any of the videos on the channel this week, go and check them out. Links are down in the description. And finally, thank you to The Ridge once again for sponsoring the show. Ridge.com/script. Go and get yourself a nice Damascus wallet or forged carbon. Whatever, man. They got plenty of options for you to choose from. Ridge.com/script10. Use code script10 at checkout. And I'm getting in the Mustang, guys. I'll see you back here Friday. Oh, actually, not Friday. Well, it's Friday now when I record this, but I'll be live tonight for SmackDown. You guys will have already seen that. Or if you guys want to go back in time to go watch that, that's on the channel right now. What the fuck am I doing? I'm getting the fuck out of here. Sunday night for Fastlane, guys. I'll see you guys later.